My name is Bailey and welcome to my channel. A few things to go over before we start this is my hair looks like a mess. We tried because Jude has those like horn things that she wears in her hair. I tried to do space buns, it didn't work out, but we're wearing them anyway. Today we are going to be doing a Wicked King by Holly Black discussion review shebang. So I read this book. It destroyed my soul, everything I believed in, and crushed me entirely. I finished it about a week ago, and if you didn't know, like, The Wicked King is the sequel to The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and the first book follows Jude Dwart, who is a human living in fairyland, Elfhame, and it kind of just deals with her and her sisters, who one of her sisters is a fairy, and her other sister is a human just like her. And it kind of deals with Jude having to live in this world where she doesn't feel like anybody accepts her or wants her to be there, or she doesn't really belong, and she's trying to, like, make her place and, you know, empowered, do her thing in fairyland. There's a lot going on in this book. I don't want to, like, if you want to read the description on the back, if you want to read it, I'm not going to give you the best description. This is the sequel. Can't really explain anything further, so let me just tell you that this book was, like, a 4 to 5 stars. Like, the pacing of this book I thought was not very good, but this book is a 5 stars on a good day, especially right after I read it. Now it's like a 4 or 4.5 stars, but like, this book was so much better than the first one, and I'd really suggest picking up these books. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna get into the spoiler section, because honestly I can't talk about this book if basically I just need to spoil stuff. I've just got too many emotions here. And I have, like, really rough notes, so, like, this might not be great, but we're gonna try it out. So, yeah. Spoiler time. Yay. Let's start with the writing. Because in general, this book was so much better than the first one. The pacing was so much better. Like, I found that in The Cruel Prince, about 70% of the book was just very, like, docile. We weren't having much, like, plot-driven stuff, like, not much action, and then you get to that last 30% and it's like, oh, this is good. We got some action, got some plot, we've got some character development, really, of the other characters. And, like, the Cruel Prince, referring to Cardan, he's only in, like, the beginning, and he kind of dips out for the middle, and then at the end he's, like, shows up again and it's all peachy. This book, constant amount of Cardan. The plot, like, the action isn't just packed in the end or the beginning, like, it's very spread out, and I appreciate that. The pacing was a lot better, you know, as you expect, authors get better at writing, so I mean, like, I see that. First, we're gonna start with the writing, like I said before. I read this book in 2 days last year, and I read this book as well in 2 days, and I feel like it's because her writing, Holly Black's writing, is very easy to read, and I find myself not getting that confused very often, and it's very, like, lyrical in the way she describes stuff. A lot of, like, she really paints a picture in your mind of what you're seeing, and I really appreciate that in this book. And, like, usually it takes me a while to read books and get immersed in the world. As soon as I picked this book up, I felt like I was deep diving back into this world, and it was pretty easy to pick up because she definitely went over stuff that, like, you might have forgotten in the first book, so it was very easy to get back into the story. So yeah, on the writing front, I would say 10 out of 10. I liked it. I was impressed. If we're gonna get into, like, characters here, I didn't really enjoy Jude's character in the first book. I don't know what it was about her. No, I do know what it was. She was stubborn and just annoying to read from her point of view. In this book, I definitely like Jude so much more now. Like, I can really appreciate her character, and I can understand her motivation at this point, and a lot better this time. And I liked how her character developed over the whole story, because I feel like in both of these books, there's kind of like a running theme of how, you know, loving people who you don't want to love, or you're fighting against your urge to love them, like with Jude and her family, and Maddox, who is her, like, adoptive father because he killed her family, and she's like, you know, I shouldn't like him, I shouldn't love him because he killed my mother and father, but also he's raised me, and so now I just feel like I love him, and it kind of, like, she fights against herself in that way, that she doesn't want to love him, but she finds herself loving him. And I find that she feels the same way with Cardan in this book, where she's like, you know, I'm falling in love with him, but I feel like I just want to have little doses of him, and then, like, nothing, because I don't want to love him, I shouldn't love him. And I thought that was a fun, like, little theme that you could kind of see in all of the things that she wove together with that theme. So I appreciate that. 10 out of 10, appreciate that. We're going to get into Juden in a second, because Juden was thriving in this book until the end. Oh my gosh, the end hurt my soul. But we're not going to get to that yet. First, we have to get into freaking Taryn. Taryn is the worst character I think I've ever read. Taryn is obviously Jude's twin sister, and I'm just like, because when Jude in this book, she's very like, you know, I'm just here to gain more power, and I'm really just deceiving everyone. And then when it comes to her sister, like her family, she can't seem to like have that attitude where it's like, I just care about myself, I don't care about them, I just want to get myself higher. So when she's talking to Jude and she forgives her right away, I'm like, Taryn, like, what are you doing? No, like, Taryn never apologized for being an absolute bitch to Jude in the first book. Like, Locke never really apologizes either. No one ever really apologizes to Jude, and it made me so mad. And I'm like, why would you forgive them? Why would you forgive her in particular? Like, And then, like, when she betrays her at the end, I'm like, well, no shit, Sherlock, you're, like, like, the fact that there was only 2 characters, basically, in this book that can lie, and everybody keeps getting deceived and betrayed, I'm just like, what's happening? What's going on? It was very frustrating. Like, only Taryn and June could lie, yet everybody's betraying everybody. But that reveal of Taryn, like, betraying her at the end, I was just like, we should have just killed her. Like, honestly, if we hadn't forgiven her, like, she wouldn't have had access to anything. We wouldn't have been blindsided to this betrayal here. And it would have been so much better. But then we didn't do that. We forgive her right on the spot, and it was all peachy. And then she just, like, goes in your place, which, one thing, with this whole, a lot of the time in this book, like, Taryn got a key to her room, to Jude's room, because they're twins and they look alike. I'm like, don't you guys at least see the demeanor of Jude? Or, like, these guards, shouldn't they be able to tell? Like, I get, like, I've encountered, like, identical twins in my life. You can still tell who is who. Like, they look the same, but, like, you can tell demeanor-wise or what they know. Like, you're just gonna automatically, like, oh, you look like Jude. I'll give you a key to the palace rooms. Why not? Like, I don't know, it was kind of weird to me. And, like, at the end, how she, like, walks in. I kind of understood because Cardan was, like, poisoned at the time, so I feel like you wouldn't be able to tell. But also, she would never give up anything to Maddox or agree with Maddox in any way. Like, I hate Taryn. I hope that we get some sort of closing to, like, some revenge here. Some sort of, like, what's due here. I hope that Taryn is in pain. Oh, let's get into the other sister, Vivi. I loved her in the first book. I still enjoy her character, but I was not impressed with her in this book. Like, she has her girlfriend, Heather, and she decides, when they're going to the wedding, she decides that she never has told Heather about magic, or if she has, Heather didn't believe her, that she's gonna just throw it all on her and it's gonna be fine and they're gonna be peachy, their relationship's not gonna go down the gutter, and I'm just like, I can tell right now that this is gonna crash and burn. And it did. It very much so did. And I was just like, Vivi, you can't be mad at anyone but yourself. That was your fault. You can't just throw someone into a magical world. Like, honestly, if I was Heather, I would have broken up with her too. I would have been like,
you're crazy. Go to the psych ward. I don't like this at all.
And so, like, I don't know. I can't really feel bad for Vivi in that sense because you kind of brought it upon yourself. I don't know. Let's get to Oak. I'm kind of going through all the characters here. Well, Oak, he's growing up in the human world, at least that's Jude's plan for him, and I'm just like, how are you supposed to expect this kid to rule over Elfhame if he is not going to grow up in Elfhame? I imagine him to be about 8 or 9 when he goes to the human world and starts living there with Vivi, and I'm just like, you want him to live here until he's around 18. He's not going to really have much knowledge of Elfhame or how it works or how it runs or how he should rule it. How is he supposed to be a king if it hasn't grown up here, doesn't understand this world really at this point? I just don't know. I feel like that's not a very good decision on their part. Like, Jude, you're going to need to work with that one a bit more. It's just a whole issue on its own. And then, like, with Cardan, my favorite character of the book, because I love him so much. I'm kind of mad at him, though. Cardan, his development in this book, I appreciated, but I'm also confused. Like, we see him, he's mad at Jude in the beginning, but he's always kind of hated her. We've got this hate. This is the first, like, truly, like, hate-to-love relationship I've kind of seen. And I feel like with this relationship, it's always, like, hate to love, to hate to love. Like, they always start hating each other at the end or in random spots because one of them betrays the other or does something shitty to the other. But this one really is arcing as a hate to love, and I'm excited to see how it really ends in Queen of Nothing, which is the third book. But in this book, we kind of see, like, Cardan is very open, becoming more open with Jude about his feelings, and a lot of the scenes, like, Kiss Me Until I'm Sick of It, it's like, he also doesn't want to love Jude, but, like, he can't really stop those feelings, and I was just like, I appreciate that. There's one hot scene, one sex scene in this book, at least the one that, like, was explicitly written about, and I've only ever really read Sarah J. Maas's sex scenes, and hers are very, very, very explicit. Like, the whole do occurs, you know, we see it all. With Holly Black's one smut scene, page 144, well, it ends on page 144, you only see, like, what that happens is, like, he pushes her down to the couch and they're, like, making it out, and they get naked, and then it cuts off. Like, we know what happened. Like, we can infer what happened, and it's kind of, like, low-key mentioned in other places, like, what might have occurred, but we don't have to see the explicit, like, and I appreciate that, because, like, you can have a hot scene that I don't have to see everything happening, everything entering, whatever. I don't want to, sometimes I'm not in the mood for that, like, I don't want to read all of that. It's kind of uncomfortable. But honestly, like, Holly Black's scene, where we had that scene, like, it was a very hot scene. You could kind of feel the electricity, yet we didn't actually see anything occur. So I really appreciate that. So it was kind of refreshing to read a smut scene that wasn't completely there. But yeah, we have a lot more Juden in this book, and I appreciate that, because I really like Juden as a ship. I know in the first book there's some toxic mention. Like, I don't know, a lot of people find it a very toxic relationship, and I don't fully disagree. Like, I feel like all the physical things that occurred in the first book I didn't agree with, I didn't really like. I feel like in this book is a lot more not physically fighting, bullying. It's, like, a lot more chill, and I like that a lot better. I'm getting really sidetracked, going on a lot of tangents, so if you can follow this, good on you. The Queen of Mirth thing bothered me. It was very uncomfortable to read. Locke is a douche canoe, and he'll always be. He's not going to have any change in character, so I've just accepted that. But the Queen of Mirth thing, as soon as Locke was like, oh, we're playing Queen of Mirth, and then Jude's like,
Whatever human girl he brings up there, like, he's gonna have a stern talking to later.
I'm like, bitch, you're the only one there. It's gonna be you. Taryn's not there, so it's not her. Also, that's his wife. That'd be weird. You haven't seen any of the humans wandering around, have you? It's you. Run. Leave. Cardan told you to leave. You should have just left. It was so awkward. And I didn't understand why she did it. Like, she's the seneschal. Like, I feel like she could have just refused to keep her dignity. Why would you do that? Like, a lot of these people don't even, like, respect you already. Why would you do that? It was such a weird scene. I didn't enjoy that scene at all. It was reminiscent of the fairy fruit scene in The Cruel Prince, which also made me very uncomfortable. I didn't like the humiliation aspect of it. It really bothers me, because one of the things I hate in life is, like, being embarrassed publicly or humiliated publicly. It bothers me so much. And so she was, like, not in The Cruel Prince, but in The Wicked King, she, like, willingly was, like, gave herself over to that humiliation. I'm like, why would you do that? No one made you do that. You can't be glamored. Why would you do that? I don't know. It's confusing me. Very awkward. But it's like, everybody in this book, like, all the side characters kind of, like, know that Cardan has feelings for Jude, and I'm like, everyone knows, why don't you guys just, like, get together? I'm done with this on and off thing where it's like, I hate you, I love you, get together, please. And, like, oh, I'm trying not to get to the end, like, fully into the end scenes until the end of this, because I feel like I shouldn't jump around too much, but it's like, I'm just struggling not to talk about it. So we all know that Jude is controlling Cardan because she has his old oath to listen to her. And then there's a scene where she asks him if he would extend the oath for, like, another decade so that Oak can get a little older, right? Because she only has a year and a day. And in this book, we get up to, like, 6 months, and then, like, the end happens. But my thing about the scene where Cardan, he obviously says no, he doesn't want to be ruled over by her. But my thing is, she was already commanding him, so why didn't she just command him to extend the oath? Like, we never explicitly say she can't do that. She just doesn't. Like, if I was Jude, and I would ask him politely first, you want to extend the oath? And he would say, heck no. And I'd be like, well, screw you. I command you to extend the oath, like, a decade. Why didn't she do that? I feel like it would have been the logical way to do it because he can't say no. I don't know. Batman makes sense because we never explicitly said that, like, we couldn't do that, or maybe I missed that in, like, The Cruel Prince, but in The Wicked King especially we didn't explicitly say that, so I was a little confused why she didn't do that, and it was just weird. Like, when I went into this book, I had already heard 2 out of context spoilers about the book, and I heard, 1, Jude and Cardan get married, and I was like, yippee, finally, and then I also heard Cardan exiles Jude. I'm like, what? These spoilers don't add up. What does this mean? We understand at the end, like, we get it. Let's talk about Balakin, the Undersea, and all that. Like, Nicasia. I don't hate her. I don't think she is a genuinely bad person, or maybe she is a bad person, but I don't think she's evil. I feel like she was just driven by, like, really wanting to seek approval from other people, and, like, she loves Cardan and whatever, whatnot, and she just wants, like, Cardan to marry her, especially, like, political reason, but she's, like, in love with her. But it was so weird. Like, the scene where Jude had told Cardan to go and seduce Nicasia for answers, and then they had sex, but, like, side note. Oh, and then, like, Jude walks by, like, while he's trying to, like, kiss some answers out of her, and she's all, like, upset about it, but I appreciate that she also addressed that, like, it was her fault that was happening and that she couldn't be mad at Cardan. That was a good time. But Queen Orla, I liked her character because I liked how she put her family first. She didn't care about Balakin. She could care less about that dude. She cared about Nicasia and her opinions and how she was, and I appreciated that family bond and how in the end scene she, like, retreated all of her soldiers for Nicasia to be freed from the tree thing. So I appreciated that in her character, that she's not just a full-on evil person who hates everyone. Like, she did care about Nicasia, and she does care about Nicasia, so I like that. Love some strong family bonds, we appreciate. But Balakin, his whole attitude when he was in the prison, like the Tower of Forgetting, bothered me. Like, bro, you are dead, son. You are done. Don't you act all hiding high and mighty. It was upsetting. Oh, I'm really bouncing around. But the ghost. Did you know he was going to betray? Because I didn't know he was going to betray, but I knew he was doing something weird. Like, I knew he was acting really strange. I was really concerned that he was going to be, like, a love interest for Jude. I was like, no, don't do that to me, please. We didn't do that. He just betrayed her. And I was like, bitch, what? I don't know. Like, why would you do that? It wasn't really expected. I could kind of see he was acting very sketchy. He was serving Dane. Like, it was kind of weird that he was just like, I'm done serving you because I was serving Dane. Like, it was strange because I feel like he had connections with at least the ghost and the bomb. Forget about Jude. But then they just, like, don't care about that. I'm going to try and kill them. I don't know. It was a weird time. He's gone at the moment. I don't know. He's going to show up again at some point. Who knows when? But, like, we'll see. Back to Balakin and the Undersea, because we're just jumping. When she got kidnapped because of the ghost, I was just like, oh no. Oh no, no, no. And then Cardan, like, bargains for her, and he basically screws over the rest of his kingdom for her, then exiles her. Who knows? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't line up. It's fine. But how she was, like, pretending for, like, a whole month that she was Glamour, and she wasn't feeling the pain of, like, starvation. Oh, that was a lot for me. I was like, you a strong sister. You strong, sweetie. Because, like, that was so bad. Like, the fairies believed that they were compelling her to believe that she was eating fine food, drinking great water, wine, whatever, living in this lavish, like, luxury, and, like, literally she's in, like, a little cellar drinking, like, nothing, and dying, and I'm just like, how did you pretend for so long? How did you pretend for so long? Good job. Good on you. And then we get out of the Undersea because Cardan, like, saved her, and I'm like, that's Juden. That's my Juden right there. It was so good. So good. And, like, there were scenes where Cardan would open up to Jude, and he'd be like, you know, my family and my father made me be so cruel and terrible because if you wanted bad, I'd be worse. And I was just like, that's you being sincere. I love that. We're getting character development. And then he exiles her at the end, and I'm like, no. It's very upsetting. Let's get into the ending for, okay, not the full ending. Oh, one of the scenes I loved so much. So, Balakin has given Jude the poison, the Wraithberry, I think, and he is, like, glamoring her to poison Cardan. And we get to this masquerade thing, and Cardan's already been poisoned. He's already dancing himself to death. And he comes out stumbling like an idiot, and he goes over to Jude, and he like kisses her, and I was just like, that's called public display of affection. That was beautiful. And then Balakin's like, oh, he's been poisoned. Like, oh, Jude, you're the only one who has access to him. Like, turn out your pockets. I'm like, if we get caught here and this is why we're exiled because of this planted poison in her pocket, I will be so upset. It wasn't, because Jude wasn't glamored and she didn't have to do nothing for Balakin. Good on you. So she's like, no. And then she's like, I need to take Cardan away. So she's trying to take him away, and Balakin's like, no, don't let her leave with him. Don't let you leave with him. And Cardan, in his like drunken stupor, poison stupor, he like snapped out of it at that moment to be like, yeah, she will take me away. And I was like, that's called love. That's called Jude in love. I was so happy. That made me like jump for joy. Like, I was reading this in the middle of the night. Like, this scene was in like the middle of the night, and I was just like, thank you so much, Holly Black, for this. And it was just, oh. Another thing about Balakin sitting at this masquerade, he's literally just sitting in the back, like, commenting on all this. And all of these people who know he's a traitor, who killed his family, who's working for the Undersea, they're all just, like, sitting there. He's like,
Oh, there's that really awful dude over there. Let's not interact with him or really care about the fact that he's here.
I don't know, it was kind of weird for me how they behaved around him, because I'm like, don't we not like him here in Elfhame and, like, on the land? I don't know. Just a thought, just a concern. But we get back and we're like, oh, we need the antidote because, you know, we don't want Cardan to die, and, you know, I'm not a fan. And then Balakin offers the antidote if they, like, give over the crown. And then the scene where, like, Jude's like, I'm gonna chug this poison, you're gonna give me the antidote so I can drink it to make sure it's an antidote. And I was like, she's not gonna give over the crown. Like, I know she's not going to. So what's she gonna do? She drinks the antidote, spits it in the thing, and throws it, and I'm like, I love you, Jude. Like, that was so badass, and I was just like, that's right, queen. I'll appreciate that. That was a really good scene. Really like that. And then, okay, she duels Balakin and kills him, which, like, when someone has a knife to your throat, like, pressing into your skin, that's a little late to say I surrender. Like, honestly, bro, you come at her with a sword, she goes to stab you in the neck, and as she's stabbing you, you say surrender, you're not gonna end well. That's not gonna do what you want it to do. It was not a good time for him. He died. And, like, explicitly through the book, Cardan didn't want Balakin to be dead. And I think the reason, we didn't really fully address it, but it's, like, that's his, like, last remaining family member, other than Oak, who's, like, related, but he's not a family member, really, like, a family member. And Cardan didn't want to kill him because he kind of raised him and kind of took him in when nobody else would, even though he was a dick and, like, abused him. But, you know, issues. And then Jude kills him, and I'm like, oh, shit. That's not gonna end well, is it? Because Cardan didn't want that, and we just found love between Cardan and Jude. Jude screwed up. That, not good. Not gonna end well. Okay. We're gonna get back to how that ended when we get to this next thing. Jude and Cardan. So Cardan calls her up after the whole poison incident, and he's like, you know what? How about you release your hold on me? And she's like, no. Like, understandably. And then he's like, well, I'll marry you. Like, and I'm like, this is the marriage portion. I was so happy. I was like, yes. And at this point, I think we're at page, like, 308, or, like, 304 to 308. And so I'm like, the book's almost over. Nothing can go wrong at this point. Like, my out-of-context spoilers must have been wrong, other than the marriage one. It's all gonna be fine, right? It wasn't. And so she agrees to marry him, and I'm just like, Jude has risen. Jude is alive. And they, like, sleep together. I don't think they have sex, but, like, they sleep in the same bed in his room. And I'm like, that's adorable. And in the morning, they wake up, and a servant or someone, I think a guard or something, comes and tells Cardan, like, oh, your brother was found dead. And then Cardan turns around, and he's just like, wow, looks like my betrothed has lied to me already. And I'm like, you're not mad enough. Like, he wasn't mad enough for me to think that this was not going to come back and bite us in the ass. It did. And so, like, all through the next scenes where he goes to the Undersea people, like, we're talking to the Undersea on the beach, and, like, we're talking about how, you know, like, Jude just killed the ambassador of the Undersea, not a good move. And then Cardan freaking rises an island out of the sea. Like, he hasn't shown any control over his power this whole time, and now you're trying to tell me that he can rise islands out of the sea? A little bit weird to me. We get the Nicasia Orla scene where, like, Orla says, I'm gonna retreat my people because I don't want my daughter to be a tree. stuck in a tree, so we had that scene. Carden then, like, right at the end, I think like 2 pages before, like, the end before the epilogue, he's like, well, I am just. And I'm like, oh, frick. This is it. This is gonna happen. This is not gonna go well, is it? Like, I then at that moment, I'm like, no. Because Jude is the queen of fairy because she has married Carden. So now she has control over these people, but they don't know. We haven't announced it to anyone. Like, Jude in her head was expecting, like, why didn't he announce it? Why hasn't he said anything? It was weird, and I was upsetting, because I'm like, this is why it's gonna go wrong. I could tell at that point something was not gonna end up right. So he's risen his island out of the sea, you know, did his thing, you know, as you do. Typical Monday morning. And so we do that, and then Carden's like, I'm a just person, and he exiles Jude to the mortal world. And then after that, like, right after that, and Jude's like, wait, what? Like, you can't do that. I'm the queen of fairy. And everybody, literally everybody starts laughing at her. And then Carden, a second later, starts laughing too. And I'm just like, whoa, what the hell? No. It hurt my soul so much. Because I could feel in that moment the desperation and betrayal that Jude was feeling and how broken, like, her heart was. I could feel, like, it snap. You know what I mean? Like, when you feel like your trust completely gone. And it hurt so much when she said, oh, like, you can't deny it, like, deny it to Carden. And he couldn't deny it, obviously. He can't lie. But he didn't say anything, because he can't deny it, but he can also not say anything. And I was just like, no, like, because he makes her let go of her command on him when he marries her. When I'd only seen the out-of-context spoilers, I was just like, why didn't she just command him to not exile her? And then I realized as she had to let go of her control on him, that's how it was going to go wrong. I'm, like, literally, like, joking up. I can't talk right now. And, like, he can't deny it, and they drag her away, and I was just like, you can't end the book there. I flipped the epilogue, I'm like, they ended the book there. She did that. She did that. Holly Black did that to us. See, I'm not typically one to read series when they're not finished, because I'm like, I don't want to have to wait a year for the next book. I've gotten on the Cruel Prince train. I can't leave it. Now Queen of Nothing is a year away, and I'm like, my heart is made of nothing. There's nothing there. I don't believe in love anymore because Jude's not together. At the end, within the span of like 6-ish pages, Holly Black managed to give me everything I've ever wanted for Jude, and they are married. They are a couple. They're together, technically. And then also destroy my heart and soul and everything I've ever dreamed in at the same time. And within like 6 pages, how do you do that? How do you have the heart for that, to hurt people's soul like that? I commend you. It hurt my heart. You did good. You made me feel things. And like, motivation-wise, I think Carden did it to protect her, or to send a message, we don't know. Because, like, I feel like he wasn't mad at all about Balakin, even though this whole book he's been trying to keep him alive for no reason. So I'm like, I don't know if he was actually mad about that, or if he was just, like, doesn't care anymore. But I feel like he was at some level trying to protect her, because let me read you the actual, like, exile line. Because it was an interesting line because the way it's worded. Because fairy wording, you know, it matters. Gotta read that fairy wording to really get what it is. Oh my god, it's hurting me just looking at this page. So this is what Carden says when he exiles her. The exact words, read by yours truly. Hear my judgment. I exile Jude Dwart to the mortal world. Until and unless she is pardoned by the crown, let her not step 1 foot in fairy or forfeit her life. You hear those words? Until or unless she is pardoned by the crown. I have some thoughts about this. 1, Carden can pardon her. But 2, she is technically the queen of fairies. Are we talking the actual, like, physical crown on whoever's head? Or are we talking about, like, the royalty? Because in all technicality, she's queen of fairy. So could she pardon herself? I don't know. But I know for sure Carden can. And I'm like, please, God, let me have her be pardoned. Because I can't handle this right now. Like, that scene hurt my soul so much. I had to keep rereading. I'm like, no, this is not real. This is not real. I was literally bawling my eyes out. It was so bad. It was such a sad time for me. But yeah, like, I feel like he did it to protect her because he doesn't want her to get hurt or something. But I also have no idea because there's not much actually threatening them at the moment because he just got rid of the problem with the Undersea. So, why are you doing that? Like, what are they fighting at this point? No, they're fighting Maddock then. Because Maddock is still doing his thing with half the army because of Terran. So the Undersea is not a problem at the moment. I feel like it's going to come back because we can't just deal with that problem once, like, rise the sea of the ocean, trap her daughter in a tree, and we're done. They're going to come back. I can basically, like, confirm it with my own logic here. we get that scene at the end where she's just like watching some figure skating thing and eating like Cheetos on the couch, and I'm like, Jude, go back to Elfhame, please, thank you, because I want you to be there, and I want Juden to rise and rule over the world, so can you do that for me? Thanks. This is the second review I've done on this channel, and I think this one has gone a lot better than the selection review I did. I'm not going to take it down, but I do believe I was very screamy and very not good in that video, so I'm hoping I'm more proud of this one. I'm already more proud of it. I hope you enjoyed if you did watch this to the end. My final rating, I guess, would be a 4 to a 4.5 of this book. Sometimes a 5 on a good day when I'm feeling particularly sad and missing my Juden content. I cannot wait for Queen of Nothing. Like, literally, these books I read in 2 days every time I get them, and her writing is so easy to read, and I'm so invested in these characters and the story at this point, and I'm hyped for it. I'm gonna hopefully look back on this video next year, because I had to watch a bunch of Cruel Prince reviews to like make sure I was fully ready for The Wicked King when I started it, because I'm like, I don't want to be confused and having to be flipping around when I'm reading it. I didn't, because it worked out, you know, we're good. If Cardan dies in Queen of Nothing, I'll be so freaking mad. Like, I will riot, so like hopefully he doesn't die, because I'm mad at him, but I don't hate him. But other than that, you know, this was my review of The Wicked King. I really hope I didn't miss anything. I probably did, but like, this is my general thoughts on basically everything that happened in this book. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like my personality, subscribe. My Twitter and Gerties are here at Read by Fire on Twitter and Firebreathing Reader on Goodreads. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Bailey. Bye! Also, I'm going to insert right here my Instagram story, or at least parts of it, from right after I'd finished this book, because I was literally like crying and I thought they were funny, so, you know, enjoy maybe a minute or so of some sad Bailey crying after reading this book. Hi, I look like a mess, and it's because I am. Because this stupid book, it gives you what you want, and then like 2 pages before the end, maybe no, like 4, so I don't know. It takes it all away. I'm so depressed. You think someone's got character development, you think that's in the right direction, then you realize it's in the complete wrong direction, and it's just all a mess, and I'm really disappointed. Like, it's a really good book, I'd recommend reading it, but it hurts your heart, okay? Oh, it's not a good time. Having a fantastic time. Finish it 2 days, just like The Cruel Prince, you know, gotta keep up a good, routine, so, yeah.